So, good evening. And tonight I have the pleasure of interviewing the wonderful and very inspiring Petah Jane Auckland and Ura Auckland. Hello, guys.
Hey Mia,
Hey,
how are
Mia.
you?
Nice to be with you.
I'm great, thank you. And just a little bit of background about Petah Jane and Ura. They have very recently hit an amazing level in doTERRA called Blue Diamond, and they have worked very hard to reach that. And so I'm really excited to learn about their journey with that. And on the side, they also live very interesting lives. Petah Jane also has a very big passion and love and connection with Egypt. So Petah Jane runs basically yearly trips, guided trips to Egypt, where she gets involved with really amazing projects that help the community over in Egypt. I think you do that twice a year. Is that right, PJ?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And Ura is also an author and scripts very cool blogs, both doTERRA related and also on the very specific political issues maybe and interesting subjects. So it's really nice to talk to you guys and get a little bit of insight of who you are and how you came to be where you are right now, sitting by the pool as I'm told.
Thanks.
Great. So can I ask you to maybe tell us in your own words who you are and why doTERRA and what is doTERRA?
Well, I'm nearly 50, mother of 2 children. I have become an entrepreneur as a result of my path, although I decided to take quite a conscious after some major changes that happened in my life that were devastating from 2011 onwards. So it's been I found myself in deep gratitude for having the courage to allow synchronicity to determine my path, and using trust and surrender as the salve to opening and exploring in a much deeper way in my life. So part of that journey was inspired by, funnily enough, people enroll with doTERRA in all kinds of different ways, supermarkets, side of the road, someone they met at a party. And in my case, it was the result of a trip that I had taken at this one's insistence that I travel to Egypt because I had this calling for a really long time. And I just kept ignoring it. And you know what happens when we ignore things? Things tend to take a greater and greater voice. And the synchronicity when we first started coming together with Egypt was unbelievable. And I experienced that level of synchronicity to this day. I'll be in an Outback Cafe, and it'll be known as the Dahab Cafe. We went to Salt Lake City last week, and there's the Egyptian cinema. I mean, papyrus cards that are available everywhere. It's you wouldn't believe the synchronicity. So I was roomed up with a young lady called Vanessa from Egypt, and she was all things Earth Mother. She was about nurturing, love, sharing of her gifts, massaging, and just basically pouring love into us. She was this little sort of fairy folk princess, and she had the oils and she was aromatically dressing with the oils in my room in front of me. And yeah, it's funny how all of that, I think back to those 5 years ago. In fact, it was this week 5 years ago that we were in together. And of all places, I had an amazing experience with essential oils in a perfumery. And from that point forward, I knew that essential oils were part of my path. It was a young Muslim girl. I'll never forget it. She actually came out and she ran through the oils with us, and I was just in awe of her. She was traditionally dressed and going through, this is what peppermint does, and this is what lavender does, and this is what frankincense does. And we were just sitting there going, oh my God, I want to do that. When I grow up, I want to do that. And little did I know what I was creating, because Egypt is a place where you certainly can manifest instantly. And that really was this very special moment that I had with essential oils, was in that perfumery, and struck me in the heart, and I've basically never been the same since.
No.
He said this so many times. So, why doTERRA? Well, after I left Egypt, I was insanely obsessed with essential oils. I absolutely knew that I needed essential oils in my life somehow. I bought hundreds of dollars worth of essential oils, didn't I, sweetheart?
And beautiful little bottles.
From Egypt. And I just needed to have those around me. I still have those. Okay. A lot of them are a bit rubbishy. But it's just having Egypt around me. It just makes me happy. And then it was a matter of sourcing the right oils and finding the oils that would support me and my journey. And I had been looking for a long time. I didn't realize what doTERRA was, or I didn't know anything at the time. And it was when Vanessa had reached a level of success, and I started to look at it really seriously and thought, you know what, maybe I'm trying to reinvent the wheel. Maybe I need to go with a company that's already doing this. And little did I know, when I unwrapped the package, like beyond the bottle, as Tara Bliss says, there's so much more to doTERRA than just essential oils. So much more. So did I answer that question satisfactorily?
Yeah, you did. Do you have anything to add, Ura? From a male perspective or Ura perspective?
Sure. Yeah, my first introduction was when Vanessa came across to Brisbane on PJ's invitation. Before we kind of really decided to get involved, we both I wanted to meet this person called Vanessa, who we'd been corresponding on Facebook, and
she had helped me through the illness. She
played a big part in helping PJ recover, working through me to support PJ, and I was keen to meet her, and PJ was keen to spend time with her, and so she came across, and just this little Energizer bunny at the front of this class of 30 or 40 people that she invited to our home. And I can't say that first night that I was anything other than kind of in awe at the Energizer bunny and her levels of energy.
I think we all are.
But as PJ kind of began her journey with doTERRA more seriously, and once she worked out, you know, that doTERRA was part of her path, and that she wanted to do and needed to do the business, and that it was part of her path.
And at the time, I couldn't answer him why it was part of my path. I didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
As that started to unfold, it became very apparent to me that doTERRA was everything I've been working to help create in the world. You know, more consciousness and integrity in business, and stewardship in business, and here it was wrapped up in a network marketing company, a direct sales company. With essential oils.
I remember thinking, oh my God, this is so Ura. Oh my God, how am I going to get him into this? Oh my God, it's in a network marketing company. He's never going to take me seriously.
Oh.
By this stage, this was early 14 when we started to do business, wasn't it? And by that stage I'd been
It was June when Vanessa came across.
Yeah, by that stage I was about 4 years into a journey of trying to consult and entrepreneur my way into having a positive impact on integrity in business, and I'd found a whole bunch of ways to fail at that. I wrote about it a lot and was an influencer on social media. But I hadn't found many good examples of it, and here DOTERRA was, and it brought me to tears. When I really came to see what they were and who the owners were and what they were creating, and there was just no choice but to get involved.
You can't ignore it. It's what is seen can't be unseen.
And look, I know my path to be that of a writer and a speaker, and my intention is to be the writer of best-selling books that influence the world in this way. And I've got to say, it was a decision whether to throw my hat in the ring with something that's perceived as an MLM. And,
it's a leap of courage. It's a leap of faith.
Because what you do in the world kind of, in part, forms a big part of your brand. And if I'm going to be taken seriously as an author talking about consciousness and integrity in the world, I needed to have a serious think about whether this supported that journey or not. But the deeper I got into it, without seeing how my path was going to unfold or exactly how that was going to look, I knew from how pure DOTERRA and the owners were, and how exactly they were walking that path and creating the outcome in the world. And I just had to trust that, and I have, and it's working beautifully. It's a beautiful thing to be involved with, and I see it now as very much congruent with my path and with helping us take more consciousness to the world.
Thank you. And how has it changed, like being involved with DOTERRA and walking this DOTERRA path, changed your lives on a personal level?
Entirely.
Okay. Tell us more.
So I think change comes from, first of all, taking that leap of faith that we just spoke about. Because it's a huge leap of faith. You have to let go of your own pride. So ego needs to take an absolute pounding to say, yep, I could potentially be looking extremely false and shallow, chasing money, building dreams and pipelines. That's the promise that a lot of network marketing companies provide.
Okay.
And that's about where it stops. And what's interesting is all DOTERRA has done is reward us for taking that leap of faith. Literally. Daily, hourly, weekly, monthly, annually. We are constantly rewarded beyond measure, beyond anything we could have ever carved for ourselves. We are constantly rewarded for letting go of ego and perception and following our heart. And that is what I think DOTERRA does best of all. If you are in any way conscious or spiritual or focused on your heart and your progress in life, this is where it gets really interesting. We're often finding ourselves taking the spiritual vow of poverty because we believe in this. This is thousands of years old, this promise, where we believe that if we're going to be in any way aware or conscious or spiritual, whatever word you want for it, that we must throw away all of our worldly possessions. fact is, that isn't how it's done. And a lot of us have to heal that kind of wound. So for me, what is my answer to that is, doTERRA has amplified my life. Anything that I thought I could do, it's allowed me to achieve that and some more. Anything I dared to dream, it allowed me to achieve that and much more. Anything I dared to wish for me, my family, my lover, my partner, what I wanted to wish for in Egypt, you know, it came about, and doTERRA has provided that because I had the courage to let go and go with it.
Yeah, look, I can agree more, PJ. You know, for me, my why is around helping people smash the glass ceiling, and you know, PJ is an absolute case in point. You know, she's an extraordinarily capable, powerful, and wise woman. And in the corporate world, you know, she was shoeboxed. You know, she you know, she was an executive recruiter, but she wasn't treated like an executive herself. You know, she was treated as a sort of, you know, the level below manager kind of thing, and then boxed there because, you know, you haven't got the HR degree, or you haven't got this or that, and you know, I've worked all my career in corporate and seen similarly capable people boxed because the glass ceiling fundamentally, you know, and in doTERRA there's none of that. It just unleashes the power of your soul, and it gives you the opportunity to step into your heart, to be all you want to be, and you know, we're now at Blue Diamond, we're earning more than most CEOs, apart from in the really top end of the town where the CEOs are earning millions. But
we're earning the same amount of money as the Prime Minister
of Australia.
and you know, and the income graph is still going like that. So,
and it's not about the money though.
No.
However,
it's about the choices that it gives you.
You know, I always went for low-paying jobs because my parents used to wring their hands with absolute, you know, frustration, going, you know, go for a high-paying job. It's like, I am not going to do something I don't enjoy. Forget it. I would rather not work. And I always went really interesting. I changed careers 3 times because I got to the top of that career, and then I moved across to something else. And I did fine without a university degree, and I was proud of that. I always got to the top of what I was doing because of who I was, and very persistent. And I don't let perceptions, naturally, I don't let perceptions get in the way of what I want to do. And it's been really interesting. You know, doTERRA is a vehicle that will allow you to discover your potential and discover what really makes you tick. And I know this because of the number of blues and presidential diamonds around the world, some of whom we know really well. And those people are all so different. And I don't think any one of them could say, well, I followed the method of getting to the top, because the method doesn't exist. A lot of people are busy looking outside of themselves to find the answers, and doTERRA's secret, the secret sauce, is what lies beneath, right? What lies within. And if you can untap and unleash that, you're going to have to go and turn on the light. If you can untap and unleash that, then you've got a really good chance. I think you might just stand up over there. The sun's dipping.
I can pause if you like.
No, that's fine.
You can just walk with me.
You can still see me now.
Yeah.
It was getting a little dark. We've got a beautiful sunset. I wish I could show you it.
Oh,
probably could.
You probably can. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you can't see the pinks and gold.
It's a bit white.
But it's really quite. So there we go. It's still a little bit light for a little bit longer.
Thank you.
So I hope that, that's doTERRA amplifies who and what you are. And that works whether you're in your shadow or in your light.
Okay. And what does that mean, PJ, for people that don't understand these kind of terms?
Sure. So I can talk about it all day.
I know. Sorry. We're not a good mix, us three.
To simplify it, life is made up of the positive and negative, the dark and the light. And sometimes we can probably foolishly look at shadow as something that's negative and not as the teacher that it really is. And we see that can be amplified on our journey. Now, this can happen in any business, but the container is so sacred with doTERRA. And this is why it's so effective. And we are working with essential oils. So the absolute alchemy involved with essential oils and the way in which they show us shadow and they encourage us, the circumstances encourage us to look at our life and determine how we move forward. And we have all kinds of things come up. This is a people business. It's all about relationships. Yes, it's about essential oils. But people say to me, it's the biggest personal development you'll ever do. Well, I was doing personal development in 1986 and I've never come across anything like this. So
I think too, the container that the owners hold such a pure intent and are such beautiful people who really are using this business as part of a mission to change the world.
Literally. And it's not just a private thing, is it?
No, it's not.
It's real.
It's, the container they hold, they've created such a light that anything but light is brought out of the shadows to be looked at.
If you're willing to look at it, because not all do, right?
Yeah. And look, if you won't, that's that's when you get feather 42 brick wall.
Feather brick or wall is what I call it. And, we can respond to the feather. We usually don't. The brick kind of hurts. Ow, where did that come from? And we still keep going, and it's usually the wall where we start to realize we have to change. And doTERRA gives us grace. It gives us hope, and it gives us inspiration. And it always, because it's a living, breathing thing, it is a safe container to progress past those negative aspects to ourselves that we haven't healed yet. So I hope that helps. That's the shadow and the light. The joy, and it's the obvious fun, but you can have too much of a good thing, and sometimes light can be false light.
And the ranking system, and you could be tempted to think of rank and an MLM as being a financial thing, but it's so not. Even the ranking system, the owners have built wisdom into that, and you can only progress to the levels of great success by doing the inner work, because you can't accidentally get to those levels. They've designed systems so that you only get to those levels when you face your demons, and when you become a person who's a shining beacon and who is attracting people to them, and truly leading powerfully.
We see a lot of people stuck at rank, and we know that the only reason they're stuck is because they still haven't really embraced the teaching of that rank.
They're clinging on to resentment. They're clinging on to views of the world that
pettiness.
That convince them the world is against them. All these illusions, and it's only when you see through the illusions and you see that you are the creator of your own world, and when you come from a place of art and genuine service, that's when it all begins to unfold for you.
It's very interesting that it's getting dark as we've just finished talking about the shadow. I can see it. I'm like, ah. How does this kind of transition into what I've heard PJ say as the rite of passage to walk the path?
That is exactly what it is. So
that is.
we have different levels, and in any network marketing company, you'll have your levels, right? But this one is really interesting because the levels are akin to your maturity along the path. And we can say comfortably that, you know, until you develop the maturity, and that has nothing to do with age, by the way. We've got some really young people that have done really, really well. And similarly, we've got some mature people that haven't progressed. And the reason is because they come stuck in that learning. So when we're willing to move past those blocks or work through those blocks, unleash that patterning that seems to keep us small, and allow ourselves to shine bright, which takes a lot of courage, then that rite of passage can't be progressed with. And it's very similar to an ancient rite of passage from old. It's, you know, things that can be, there are different levels in doTERRA, and you start to understand different levels have different meanings. There are certain things that are discussed at different levels that aren't discussed at the lower levels because they're not ready for that information yet. Not because we want to be secret squirrel, but because they're just, their business or their development hasn't called for that. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. You're fading away in the dark. Light. What is that telling you?
What's the camera, maybe?
Or that he's wearing a black t-shirt. I can still see your teeth, guys.
Small so we can see you.
Oh gosh. Cool. And on that note, no. So what would you say to people that are either feeling stuck or that confused about this journey, that are either in doTERRA or kind of on the fence? What kind of advice would you give?
You'll be called upon to use your courage often, and you'll be rewarded greatly when you do. It's that simple.
Okay.
So if you have honesty
and
can look at the situation honestly, or maybe you're blindsided, there might be an aspect of you that you really can't see. This keeps coming up in your life. It keeps becoming an issue. It's that thorn in your side. It's a thorn in your side in your business, but when you reflect on your life, it's also showing in your life as well. When you have the courage to honestly look at it and maybe get a mentor or your upline to help you work through that block, it will dissolve not only in your business, but in your life as well. It's amazing. And I do think it's because of the oils and what they work, how they work in motion. I am going to turn on the light. So you can hold the thing and I will do the light.
Right. To me, it's, you know, we can tend to cling to parent safety, and you know, for me, for many years, safety was the job in the corporate world, you know, and for many years I wouldn't leave a job until I had my next job to go to, and you know, probably that's pretty common to most people. You know, because we have these things like mortgages and families, and we convince ourselves that it's not safe to swing on Tarzan's rope and reach for the next rope as you're in the air, you know. But gee, you know, since I swung on Tarzan's rope and took a risk, I have never looked back, and you know, doTERRA is a bit like that. To some degree, it can seem like the swing on the rope. You don't know what the future looks like, but to me, it's that the simile is that you cling to a sapling in the middle of the stream, and the stream's roaring along, and the sapling seems safe, but you're stuck. And if you'll just let go of the sapling, so you can be carried in the current will support you, and you can float along with far less effort, supported by life and everything around you, and life does provide. I stepped out of safety and security back in about 2010. Before doTERRA, I took another swing on Tarzan's rope, and I have never looked back. I have never looked back. And from that place of being washed along in the current, you see so many opportunities and so many things come out of the blue that you wouldn't have expected to support you, and that's been the case with doTERRA. And life is just magical, and we have freedom, and we have the ability to design our day, or design our week, or design our month, or honour our soul's calling, or do what feels true to us.
And we're rewarded when we do. That's what's really cool.
And to me, it isn't just that. It isn't just that. doTERRA gives you money to have choices. I think it's a magnificent container to grow people and to allow people to become the best version of themselves, and you become a leader to a community of 4,200 people now in our case, plus all of the other people outside of our own tree who look to us as leaders, which is now getting to the tens of thousands of people who love our message in the world, and who we can influence and change lives every day. It's a beautiful container to be a world changer.
Wonderful, thank you. And with that, so where to from here? Because we touched on a little bit about Egypt and about your writing, and can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, a lot of people talk about burnout in this business, and the fact that they've achieved burnout. My belief is that if you don't have a why, you're going to experience burnout, because it can't just be all about the oils, because that's not what doTERRA want. They want to see the best version of you, and they want to see you live your truth, and whatever that truth happens to be. So for me, it's really interesting. I did a really interesting experiment. I became aware at one point that I had not very long ago, probably about 6 weeks ago, I had this and we talk about the rite of passage, right?
Yeah.
This very naff view of what an entrepreneur is. And at these levels, at this rank in doTERRA, this is what we're doing. We're entrepreneurs. We are taking full responsibility for our own direction, paid by doTERRA to advocate for the essential oils, to support people with their natural health and wellness, and also help people achieve that kind of liberation. And I had a very stale view, or one-eyed view of entrepreneurs, because when I grew up, my grandfather did liaise with entrepreneurs, and they were horrible people.
Okay.
White shoes and white safari suits and gold chains and bangles. I knew them all. I was a little girl, but I had a lot of money around me a long time. But these were people who perhaps had questionable ethics, and were people that were making money off people, rather than making with people. Okay, there's a very big difference. And I had a very unhealthy view of entrepreneur, and I actually put it up on Facebook. I realized that I was stepping into entrepreneurship, truly, and that I had been trying to do that all my life, but I'd never really seen that. And then on Facebook, I put up, what is your view of an entrepreneur? And I got reams and reams and reams of comments, which was amazing. And they all described me. But I had this view of white shoe, gold bangles, and safari suits.
Wow.
It was really interesting. And as I got the cosmic joke, right?
Yeah.
And I started to dissolve that, and I went, oh my God, I already am that, and I'm perceived as that.
Okay.
I need to step in and own that, and not be afraid of what this entrepreneur thing is and what it sounds. And as soon as I did, we ranked a month later. It was amazing. So what does that mean? It means that I'm not taking food from my husband's mouth or back pocket. I'm not taking food from my children to go and support the causes that mean something to me. That I can go and literally help people all around the world because it's easy for me to do that, and because that is my nature. Ask my parents, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to help people. They used to want to throat punch me. Why do you want to do that? You don't want to help people. People will just leech on. There was just this fear mentality around helping.
Yeah.
And I knew what I was trying to achieve. I remember saying to my parents, I want to go and speak to the people in prison because I think they're in there for the wrong reasons. You know, my parents used to shake their heads going, oh my God, I don't have a myopic view at the moment, but, you know, I was 5. And in my view, most of the people who got to jail were going in there for the wrong reasons. And I think if you look at the state of the world,
Yeah.
that there's some truth, a kernel of truth.
I was going to say, you might not be...
If need support.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need support. And with support, a system can be supported. So yeah, I was just reflecting on that the other day. But for me, it's Egypt, and without wanting to rescue, you know, I don't want to go in there and be arrested. That's not it at all. But the idea of empowering these people to support them during such tough times, you've got no idea how tough it is for them. Having gone from, you know, dizzy heights to the lowest of lows, and they're still struggling like crazy, to be able to have enough money to say, you know what, you need to finish your house. We're going to finish your house, which we have already done.
Okay.
You want to improve your health, and you don't want to keep going to the doctors because they keep prescribing these full-blown medications that the Western world sell to third world countries to make profits on. You know, and these people are dying constantly. Their mortality rate is very low. For them to be able to reach to an essential oil, I have an abundance of them. I can take a whole handful and give them to them. They're never going to pay for these oils. £1 is the equivalent of 5 cents Australian. So I want to be able to let them have access to this kind of health that we have the ability to access in the Western world. And it's easy to do that, and it's very easy to make a difference. It's just a decision.
You know, for me, this journey continues to go exactly where I had hoped. Now we're losing low battery. All right.
Okay.
This journey is continuing to take me where I had hoped it would, which is to become an influencer in the world. You know, we're now getting a VA, and we've got, you know, more ability to carve out pieces of time to indulge our creative endeavours, and you know, my highest priority is to finish writing my second book. I finished, that's about a year ago now that I finished my first draft, a bit over a year in fact, and I need to get into my second draft, and I've got a lot to say in the world. And the beautiful thing is that you know, success as an author nowadays is having a platform of people who care about what you say. And I've now got tens of thousands of them, so you know, what a gift, and you know, my intention is to serve that community of people directly by writing things that will help them live and succeed the fullest lives that they you know, that they can directly in doTERRA, and you know, my belief is that they will then influence the people around them, and we'll all together influence the world around us. And so that's really exciting to me to see that the gamble I took on investing my personal brand in becoming a doTERRA leader really has only enhanced my influence in the world and my ability to make a difference in the world around me. You know, and to continue to support our team and to support doTERRA in becoming successful in the world. you know, it's one thing to go Blue Diamond yourself, but I want Blue Diamond for all of our team, because that's
they want that too.
provided they, yeah, look, I don't want to impose things on people that is not their, you know, not their soul's truth, but for those that want that abundance that it can bring, and for those who do see doTERRA as a container that they can live their soul's purpose, you know, we want to support them to get what we've got to now, support them all that way, and you know, and help them support their teams and so on. So
thank you so much. And on behalf of your team, I'm just going to take the liberty to say thank you for being such wonderful leaders. And I mean, just listening to what you guys have been saying tonight, also to go deeper as well with this business and not treating it as just something that's like climbing a ladder, getting to a certain point and that's it, but actually supporting us on emotional, spiritual, mental, physical to grow with the tree. So thank you so much, and thank you for spending the time tonight to talk to me before your battery dies. Do you have any parting words? I would love to interview you more in Egypt, maybe in another session, or even about your book, Ura, if you're interested as well. But just on this topic, if you have any parting words for our audience.
Mine would be, if you get the opportunity, just leap. You don't need the proof that it's going to work. The proof is around you. The proof is everywhere. There are people everywhere well in this business. Unlike a corporation with its CEO at the top and the minions below, it works on a completely different level. And as I say to people, that CEO position is waiting for you. You just have to make a decision. As soon as you decide, everything will conspire in your favor. That's how it works. Watch those beliefs. They don't get in the way. Belief is everything in doTERRA. And if you believe it and can see it, it will happen. I always believed in blue. I was afraid of blue, thinking, oh my God, that's just like huge.
Yeah.
And days, and I look at this and I go, wow, this wasn't as hard as I thought it was.
But you worked hard, though. I know you did.
We have, but no harder than lots of low-paying jobs.
Yeah.
No harder. In fact, I've worked much harder. Yeah.
And we've built something that will last us the rest of our lives. So, so working. To what PJ said, I would add, and I totally agree with her, you know, take the leap and trust. To that, I would add, come from service and come from love. If you come from service and if you come from love in everything you do, and if you ask what would love do, you can only succeed. You can only succeed. It's when the head gets in the way and we try and think our way through the business that we mislead ourselves and people feel us in our head instead of feeling us in our heart. If we come from a place of our heart and genuinely trying to serve them and then just allowing the results to happen as a result of that, that's how you succeed in business.
I can't tell you the amount of times that we have had to forego making money, ranking, to do what's right. We could have gone blue or diamond much quicker.
They could have engineered it with enrollment transfers and things, but that wouldn't have been building. That wouldn't have been building a sustainable business. We have the ability to create. We could have done it, and I can't tell you the number of times when we've had to go, you know what, it just doesn't feel right, and we're going to say no. We're going to help this person, even though this person isn't in a ranking leg. We're going to support these people over here because this is what needed to happen. We're going to put this enrollment with this other person, even though it would make more sense for us to place it there. It's your courage to live in the heart is deeply rewarded in doTERRA. Yeah. And you need to be able to be okay with letting go of the idea that you eat first, because you don't. And when you lead that way, people know they can trust you. So they know they can trust you, so they continue to follow you. Absolutely.
And I know that's your brand, Ura. That's how we met. So integrity. All right. Well, thank you so much again. And I look forward to talking to you again.
All right.
Thanks, Mia.
Thanks, Mia.
Thank you, and have a wonderful night. And I'll pop the links in the commentary.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.